Are you tired of trans voice tutorials that require either a linguistics degree or a sound engineering degree to even understand it? Would you like a tutorial that could be comprehended by literal 5-year-olds? Here it is. Learn to change the voice from this to this. How to trans voice resonance. Let's make this make sense. I'm okay. The last resonance video was 2 years ago, so I've learned a lot since I made that video, so consider this video a bit of a cleanup job. We still get emails about that one error you made. Yeah. So there's a few ways to learn resonance. One of them is bubble phonation, which I have a video on. Today's video is about a different technique, but if this technique doesn't resonate, then feel free to find another video. Using this voice as a base, resonance is basically moving the voice forward like this so that you can change the overall sound. And then with other stuff, it'll sound great. But this is just a small building block. Point, you're kind of moving the voice forwards like this and making it in this kind of spot. That's the rough thing that's different as opposed to like back here. I'm moving it forward here. Consider it a forward motion. So first off, we don't do a resonance. Instead, resonance is like a quality of the voice. Similar to how there's high pitches and low pitches. There is bright and dark resonance. If you want to do a girl voice good, like the title says, then you want a bright resonance. A bright resonance voice is strong and clear, with the vocal folds barely touching. Without good resonance, our voice is gonna sound a bit weak and hard to hear. Let's imagine this window is the vocal folds. You want the voice to travel right through it without smacking into the side. We don't want our voice to bump around with our vocal folds too much, because otherwise we won't be able to get bright resonance. So, let's learn an exercise so we can build muscle memory of what bright resonance feels like so that you can utilize it when speaking. When doing the following exercise, just know we're grabbing the vibration over there and slapping it up here. We are moving it. Resonance is the shape of the voice as it moves from here to here. Now for the fun part. Here's the part where we actually get to do something and make changes. So, techniques in trans voice are just various exercises to engage muscles so you know what they feel like so you can manipulate them on command. What's today's silly sound, you might ask? I've organized our criteria into 4 Bs. These are what we're looking for when we're making these sound. Now, why is it 4 Bs? Well, the sound kind of sounds like a buzzy little bee, so I thought it was cute. Step 1 is brightness, lovely audience. If you can already raise your larynx from the larynx video, you already have this part sorted because the larynx and resonance, well, they're a team, they work together, right? If you haven't seen the larynx video, the short version is making like a ha sound and making that little ball move up a little bit to avoid the vocal folds touching too much. Wait, not that high! But once you learn that and you apply this to this, if you have trouble doing both at the same time, you can actually do both techniques together and smush it like a little sandwich. A ham sandwich. We can make like a little ham sound like that to bring it together if you have trouble with this first step. I call this the ham method. Get it? But random YouTuber, there's 2 larynx videos. Which one do I watch after this video? That one. I like that one more. This one's better. Up next is buzziness. When you're making this sound, try to see if you can feel vibration coming from your lips. I mean literally grabbing your finger, placing it on your mouth, and seeing if you can feel vibration. Different people experience this vibration sensation a little differently, so if you don't find this technique works for you, feel free to try the bubble phonation technique, as that might work a little better. They do the same thing, it's just whichever you find easier. That said, no one gets things first try, so let's keep going. When we make this sound, imagine your mouth is a dam. Try to get your voice to be an intense flash of water that bumps right against the dam. Not like a We want it to be more yeah. Step 3, breathing. Without strong resonance, our voice lacks power. Without good breathing though, then we can't get strong resonance. A lack of strong resonance is sometimes why a lot of people sound a little weak when doing a girl voice. So let's chill in this part of the video and focus on our breathing. Sure, the algorithm loved that one. Our last criteria, lovely audience, beyond. Forwardness, that kind of forwardness that I alluded to at the start of the video. So we're gonna master our FUM. This is a bit of a mental trick. Sound in general, of course, bounces off any surface. That's how sound works. But humor me for a moment. Let's imagine our voice as an energy source that exists within the body. Imagine that energy moving from the chest to the front of our mouth. I essentially want you to imagine where the voice spawns. Pay attention to where you feel your voice come into existence. You want to move that spawn point to your mouth, rather than the lower parts of your chest or the lower parts of your throat. We're moving our spawn point, our energy. This is a metaphor to trick your muscles into doing the things that we need it to do. Imagine the energy or the spawn point of your voice starting there and then move it up there. When we make this sound, you want to imagine that moving there. When doing this, you might actually feel your tongue move up a little bit. That's pretty normal. When we do a bright resonant voice, our tongue actually raises a little bit, which actually helps alter the sound a little bit. When you try the buzzy M this time, imagine your voice knocking over those liquids over there. You want to imagine your voice forwards. You might even want to push your hands through. Try to replicate the sound. Yeah, not bad. So we're combining all that together to create our final product. So that we do all the steps, like avoiding that window from earlier, having that forward sound, having a buzzy sound, and breathing. With the buzzy M technique, to practice it, we can slap it in front of vowels, words, sentences, the pokey rap, paragraphs, the entirety of AO3. But for now, let's start with vowels, shall we? So we're basically gonna make this kind of kind of sound and go through each vowel. So it would kind of sound like ma, me, me, mar. You won't feel vibration in your lips once you open your mouth because, well, we broke the dam, so to speak. We've allowed the resonance to go flying into the sunset. But if it's buzzing on your lips before you open your mouth, then you're all good. A, E, and I are bright sounds, so these might be a little easier. Try making the sounds E, I, and you'll feel the muscles towards the front of your mouth activate. Whereas O, U, you'll feel at the back. The dark souls of resonance. It's just a little harder with these sounds. You might feel like the voice is being like pulled back, so to speak, but you'll get the hang of it. Here's me doing it again. Ma, me, ma, mar, mu. You don't have to say vowels the way I do. I'm Australian, I say vowels differently. It's okay. Some potential issues to troubleshoot if you're not quite getting it. Is the larynx raised? Is the window from earlier being passed through without clipping our legs? Are we doing the big breath before making the sounds? Is our tongue raised a little bit? Was the M part extra buzzy sounding? We can do words too. So let's just grab milkshake, milkshake. Watch out for that cut sound. Those can be a bit tricky when doing this exercise. Lucy, is it true you claimed "co" was a fricative despite obviously being a plosive? Yeah, I did. It was 2 years ago. Lucy, why would you reference linguistic terminology despite wanting to avoid jargon in your videos? Look, it was 2 years ago. Give me a break. If you didn't understand anything in that part of the skit, that's fine. I'm just fixing up a mistake from 2 years ago. Back to the tutorial. If we were to use words, we would just go milkshake, for example. If we did a sentence, we could go milkshakes are tasty. Nice and long like that, like we're summoning something. Then afterwards, we do it a little quicker, then we can do it in a regular speaking rhythm. Consider this exercise like getting into a good stance in martial arts. There's our strong foundation. So once we get that stance, we can go back to where we were. Once we practice the, smooth movements that lead to that stance, but eventually we can just, lock into it, right? Once you get better at it. This is similar to how trans voice works in this case. Milkshake. Getting comfortable with that stance, right? Then we pause, reset, and then we're going to try to milkshake. So we're getting into that stance much quicker and stronger. But the previous instance was good for getting our position right. So in full sequence, a practice would be kind of like going, milkshakes are tasty. Milkshakes are tasty. Remember, practice makes perfect. I thought you were ready. Hey lovely audience, I hope you enjoyed this video about resonance. The last one was like nearly 2-3 years ago now. Wild. That video is kind of why I have a career in the first place. So I'm very thankful of the opportunity to get to try again and make the video better. I took on quite a lot of feedback from that last video, to be honest, and a lot of people told me things, the more egregious mistakes, and I tried my best to fix them up. But you might be curious about the fact that the technique is about the same. The reason for that is I still think that part of the video was pretty good, and I want to stand by it and have confidence in my own work. So I understand that the kind of forward resonance technique is come out of favor a little bit with trans voice coaches on the internet. However, professional speech paths still use it. I don't know if that's an instance of them being outdated or that's just what the technique they use, but at least for me, it was the technique that gave me my voice. So I'm a bit biased, but I like this technique because it gave me the greatest gift of all, right? So that's why I teach this specific method and other videos don't. Understand that other people may not like this technique. If this video and technique did not work at all, feel free to try the bubble phonation video. That might make more sense to you. That's perfectly fine. Just understand that I think this is a really good resonance technique and I think it's more simplified. I've tried explaining the whole resonance chamber thing to Patreon students. People kind of come out of it more confused than anything. So I've kind of stopped doing that. I understand that's technically more correct and that focus of the specifics are important. However, the reason the old videos did well was it being hyper simple. And as a result, we're gonna keep the videos hyper simple. That's all there is to it. Stay hydrated and know that you are valid. I'll see you next time.